The confrontation between Ukraine and Russia has reached a new level of intensity following the Ukrainian incursion into the Kursk region of Russia. The Ukrainian army, as the fighting unfolded, reported that it had secured control of more than 100 settlements in the Kursk region and advanced 500 square miles from the Russian border. Without a doubt, Russian President Vladimir Putin has been forced into an unacceptable situation with no easy solution. The presence of Ukrainian troops in the Kursk region has been ordered to be irreversibly eliminated by Putin's leadership, with the president issuing strict orders to his military. But will the Russian military be able to carry out this command in this critical juncture? And what will the Ukrainian military's response be to the Russian offensive? Let's conduct a thorough analysis of the most recent events and conflicts that have led to the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. Attention to detail is key, team. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and hit the like button to stay up to date with all our content. Let's dive right in. A final ultimatum has been issued by Russian President Vladimir Putin to his forces. They are required to ensure victory over Ukrainian control of the Kursk province by the 1st of October. As pressure builds, time becomes an increasingly critical factor in this operation. By midweek, Russian regimes had carried out an offensive over a territory of around 400 square kilometers, advancing from at least 3 different fronts. According to the Ukrainian analysis group Frelich Insight, counterattacks were unexpectedly launched by a large number of personnel on the ground, with at least 2 on the right flank and 1 on the left. On the other hand, Ukraine's 7th Rocket Artillery Brigade, the only unit operating with nearly 300 HIMARS systems manufactured in the United States, was not caught off guard. Using a drone belonging to the Ukrainian Dekorimak Regiment, composed of unmanned aerial systems, a Russian detachment formed by soldiers of various decades advanced toward the Sime River, which borders the Kursk region from the northeast. They disembarked from their vehicles and proceeded to cross the river using a temporary pontoon bridge designed by Russian engineers. Reports indicate that the HIMARS systems of the 7th Rocket Artillery Brigade have initiated operations. Launching M331 rockets guided by GPS precision is of utmost importance in this tactical terrain. A distance of 57 millimeters was achieved by each rocket, capable of carrying over 400 grenade-sized submunitions. The results were devastating. 2 rockets directly hit troops positioned in the most exposed part of the floating bridge. As the survivors took refuge in a nearby forest, a 3rd rocket exploded directly above them. It is unclear the exact number of Russian soldiers killed or wounded, but drone footage revealed up to 30 figures in motion at the start of the bombardment, with only a dozen remaining by the end. The Ukrainian rocket launchers have demonstrated their effectiveness, successfully neutralizing this Russian attack. The mission was a battlefield success. That being said, according to the Ukrainian Defense Strategy Center, other Russian units managed to regain control of a group of localities located in the Segos region to the left of the front line, and Ulan to the right. Ukrainian troops from the 2nd Mechanized Army Brigade have launched an assault on the eastern side of Segos, aiming to halt the enemy's advance and secure the strategic position. It is evident that chaos reigns on the front line, and the organizational structure on both sides is being tested. The Ukrainian forces are composed of a mix of army battalions, independent airborne assault units, and regional contingents. According to Front Intelligence Insight, the situation is even more complicated on the Russian side. It consists mainly of battalions or regiments recruited from a variety of divisions and brigades, all concentrated in the same geographical area. The head of analysis explained that the lack of planning could pose a significant challenge for Russian forces. According to Front Intelligence, a force organized in this manner typically lacks substantial offensive potential until an effective command structure and coordination are established. Given that this remains a challenge for the Russian military, our team does not foresee significant advances in the near future. However, this does not mean that Russia lacks the capability to carry out offensive operations. Despite the considerable difficulties that the Russians have faced in their prolonged 30-month struggle with Ukraine, they still enjoy a general advantage in terms of vehicles and troops. There is a critical situation that requires close observation. Ukrainian forces have established a strong defensive advantage in the areas of Kursk under their control, in contrast to the numerical superiority of Russian troops. According to Front Legends Insight, Ukrainian troops are benefiting from adaptive defensive strategies that allow them to engage in hostile encounters. These strategies, which include artillery, tactical missiles, and Russia's air power, enable them to take the initiative on the battlefield. Rather than engage in a last-stand fight for every piece of land, Ukrainian forces are opting to fight until they reach their limit and then reorganize in more strategic and defensible positions. This defensive approach, while possessing beneficial aspects, has the potential to turn into a challenge if a significant number of Russian troops simultaneously launch an attack from multiple directions. Ukrainian forces may find themselves without favorable positions to defend. This situation can pose a significant challenge for Ukraine in establishing an effective defense. Amid this risk, Ukrainian leaders are fully prepared to confront it. Drones are currently operational, closely monitoring every movement of the Russian reinforcements. They are focusing their efforts on the bridges over the Sime River, ensuring that nothing escapes their attention. In this high-pressure environment, the crucial factor is to maintain vigilance. Advanced artillery is ready to neutralize reinforcements before they can reach the front line, preventing them from advancing. The Ukrainian armed forces will not hold back. They recently conducted a missile strike targeting a large number of Russian troops attempting to cross the Sime River. In these critical moments, determination and strategy on the battlefield are of utmost importance. Despite being prepared to launch an assault on Ukrainian positions, the Russian forces were unable to initiate conflict because they missed their opportunity. Ukrainian aerial reconnaissance monitored the movements of Russian forces, transmitting precise coordinates to artillery units to provide an effective response. The Russians intended to operate in the shadows, but the drone's thermal camera captured every one of their movements. A significant number of missiles with cluster warheads have been launched by the Ukrainian armed forces, which also deployed several HIMARS missiles. This operation has been successfully executed, affecting a wide area where Russian troops are concentrated. Immediately after the initial assault, the Russians began to withdraw, while Ukrainian armed forces maintained control over their movements throughout the conflict. As they shifted their attention to a new target, Ukrainian forces conducted another missile attack. The images that have surfaced show pieces of metal scattered across a wide area, surprising the Russian forces involved. The section at the rear of the warhead is filled with thousands of tungsten fragments attached to blade-shaped wires, ready for deployment. Initial estimates indicate that losses within the Russian armed forces could exceed 100,000 personnel. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has officially confirmed that Russian forces have initiated counteroffensive operations in the Kursk region. These operations began with a statement from the commander-in-chief, asserting that everything is progressing according to the strategy established by Ukraine. Various news agencies have echoed this information, citing the president's remarks during a press conference held in Kiev alongside President Nausėda of Lithuania. The Russian military has commenced counteroffensive operations, the statement noted. Every advance is in line with our strategy in Ukraine, it added. One of the most important objectives Ukraine had in mind during its offensive in the Kursk region was to weaken Russian forces and then utilize those forces to deploy Ukrainian army units northward. This was highlighted by strategic analysts during the press conference. Zelensky remarked that the Ukrainian government has limited capacity to monitor the movements of Belarusian military forces around the Ukrainian border. The command of the Russian army front is beginning to critically evaluate its decisions, especially in light of coordination errors among infantry units and other units during offensives. The situation is becoming increasingly tense, and lessons learned from the past are more pertinent than ever. Currently, the Russians are focusing their efforts on expanding the defensive line of the Ukrainian armed forces, successfully employing coordinated infantry attacks supported by first-person drones and artillery. In this battle scenario, the situation is tense, and every action must be taken into account. In his report, Alexander Borodin, press chief of the 3rd Special Brigade, detailed the strategic maneuvers involving Russian troops. According to Borodin, the second challenge faced by Russian military forces on the front is the continuous supply of infantry. In the Russian army, reserves are in position. A fallen company is quickly followed by the next, with another unit ready to take its place. Their infantry capacity is inexhaustible, the press officer stated. Borodin provided evidence that the Russians have started manufacturing first-person view (FPV) drones. The Russian armed forces are facing significant challenges in the form of mechanized formations that increasingly resemble those of the Ukrainian armed forces. Recent events have prompted the 3rd Special Brigade to make a decision and issue statements regarding former prisoners who were assigned to serve alongside them. Meanwhile, Russia launched a baseless accusation, claiming that Ukrainian forces had established concentration camps for Russians in the Kursk region. This absurd accusation was conceived by Maria Zakova, spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, a notorious propagandist known for spreading ludicrous information about Ukraine's defense forces. She claimed that the largest camp is likely located in the building of one of the social institutions in Sudzha. Russian propagandists were the ones who disseminated statements from Putin's alias. Additionally, Zakara accused the armed forces of taking some residents from the Kursk region to an unknown destination. According to the spokesperson for the Russian war criminals, no evidence was provided in this regard. Instead, She claimed to have information from relatives of individuals who were forcibly detained in the Kursk region. Zakharova also failed to mention that Russia did not limit itself to abandoning its own people but bombarded them daily. Just yesterday, the head of the armed forces reported that Russian invaders carried out an aerial attack, dropping at least 27 bombs on the Kursk region. Moreover, the Russian invaders were responsible for the attack. The Russian government opted to spread the narrative that Ukrainian forces are behind the establishment of concentration camps, aiming to justify their actions. The defense agreement sealed on June 19 between Russia and North Korea includes a commitment to provide reciprocal military support on another front. This unexpected move saw Pyongyang announce its intention to deploy troops to Ukraine, a development that has the potential to alter the global landscape. Last week, President Vladimir Putin made his first official visit to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, commonly known as North Korea. This trip marked his first appearance in the territory in over 25 years amidst an increasingly complex global environment. This diplomatic mission underscores the strategic importance of the existing relations between both nations. During his visit, Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un signed a defense agreement on June 19 in Pyongyang, the capital of the North. This agreement serves as a reminder of the strategic objectives they have set. If either party becomes involved in an armed conflict due to the invasion of one or more states, the other party will provide military support and other resources without delay, utilizing all means at their disposal. This is articulated clearly and concisely in the defense agreement. In a recent statement, Kim Jong-un announced that he would deploy troops from a specialized innovation military unit to support Russian forces operating in the DSK region. These troops are expected to arrive on the battlefield early next month. Since the arrival of the two leaders in Russia in September, the Defense Council of the Russian Federation has sent nearly 2 million artillery pieces, including rockets for Russian military systems equipped with multiple launch rocket systems and missiles, supposedly to support Putin's military forces. As a result of the active presence of North Korean combat troops, the risk of conflict escalation has increased dramatically. Currently, analysts express their conviction that engineers working for Kim Jong-un could face significant difficulties on the battlefield. Pat Ryder, spokesperson for the Pentagon, held a briefing on June 25 in which he stated that North Korean troops were being sent to a de facto slaughter and questioned the logic behind this deployment. "If I were in charge of the North Korean military personnel, I would definitely reconsider my decisions about sending my troops as cannon fodder in an illegal war against Ukraine," he asserted, highlighting the losses among Russian forces. Recent events have prompted Shoigu to hold a meeting with Kim Jong-un to discuss strengthening the existing defense lines between Russia and North Korea. This strategic move is not to be underestimated. The meeting occurred as a result of the signing of a defense agreement between Russia and the North Korean government, amidst Russia's efforts to secure an adequate supply of arms and resources for the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. According to the information provided, the United States is closely monitoring the strengthening of military ties between the two countries. North Korea has become a crucial link between the Kremlin and China. According to statements by Ilya Ponomarev, a former member of the Russian government published in the British tabloid Daily Express, Beijing has the capability to send military supplies to Moscow indirectly through Pyongyang, thus circumventing sanctions imposed by the Western world. The fact that North Korea is a strategic ally of Russia and serves as an important nexus between China and Russia has drawn significant attention. All military equipment provided to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea was essentially designed and developed by Chinese individuals for use by the North Koreans. China remains vigilant to avoid secondary sanctions imposed by the United States. Although North Korea does not face the same risks from other countries, there is no adverse situation in which China supports North Korea while simultaneously establishing trade relations with Russia and benefiting financially and militarily. The day after the signing of the defense agreement between Putin and Kim, Michael Carpenter, a member of the U.S. National Security Council, made it clear that Putin's coalition, which includes Russia, North Korea, Iran, and Syria, contrasts sharply with the 50 countries that form part of the Ramstein Defense Contact Group supporting Ukraine. At the Global Peace Summit held in Switzerland on June 15 to 16, nearly 100 nations expressed their support for the principles enshrined in the United Nations Charter. What is your viewpoint on this topic? Feel free to express your thoughts in the comments section. Soldiers, it is highly recommended that you subscribe to our channel and activate the notification function to ensure you stay updated on all new videos we publish. Don't let us lose you. We appreciate your support and loyalty. Stay tuned for our current and future missions.